Hello, welcome to the Lala Show. This is episode 5 of our weekly podcast about Chinese entertainments. So today I wanted to start out with kind of a breaking news. This literally happened on August 2nd on Weibo. So, do you remember when I first told you about Zhang Ruoyun? Mm-hmm. I said I really liked him, right? But then I was really sad because he had a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Right? Her name is Tang Yixing. So I think they've been together for a really, really, really long time, like years and years, but they've never confirmed it or outed themselves because they've been like photographed and like people have always speculated, but they've never said anything. But on August 2nd, Zhang Ruoyun posted a photo of them together and she was kissing him. My. It was so cute. It was like everybody was like, oh my god, the not so secret is not a secret anymore, you know, because it's always been like a known thing, but they've just been really low key about it, and now he's like finally admitted it. So then everybody's like, well, what is making him admit it now? Is there like a future going on? Are they getting married? Like, what is going on, you know? But I just thought it was really, really cute.
How long have they been together?
I don't know, but like 5+ years.
Dang.
Maybe even 10. They were low-key together like a very long time, even when both of them were even famous remotely. So it's always been like a running thing where people were trying to get them to admit it because they've been photographed like in and out of hotels, and they've been photographed together holding hands or whatever, or like people have been, because like in 花儿与少年, they did a segment where they filmed in Zhang Ruoyun's house. Mm-hmm. And they kept trying to find like little pieces here and there that resembled Tang Yixing's like photos. Mm-hmm. Like her selfies and stuff, like the background. They'd be like, oh, this resembles this corner of this person's house. They kept trying to find these like little like evidence. Uh-huh. But now it's like finally an open thing, which, I mean, I don't know. That says something.
Wow, congratulations to them.
You know, I'm excited. But on the topic of Zhang Ruoyun, though, I'm very, very disappointed that he's in a web series.
Are you disappointed that he's in a web series, or are you just just the fact that he's in a web series, or that particular?
No, I'm disappointed of this web series in particular. Oh my god! So if you watch it, it's called Intouchable.
Intouchable.
Intouchable. Okay.
With an I.
With an I. I researched this. This is what it says, and then it's called 男神执事团. Okay, it's like a manhua, like a manga series, like an anime series that they brought to real life.
That's fine.
So I don't know about you, but I've never been a fan of anime and never been a fan of manhua because I just think it's so exaggerated and so ridiculous sometimes. It's not for me. Like, I think it's kind of crazy. So I don't know, the web series itself is just so like, it's too 小鲜肉 and like 偶像 and like, oh my god, like all these guys around this girl, and they're doing magical things, like there's zombies involved and like magic involved, and it's so like childish. It's really not for me.
I mean, I think that I don't think that all adaptations of manhwa are bad, because there's some like classics out there that, like, you know, what is it called? Hanakimi and Meteor Shower. No, wait, is Meteor Shower? Mars is definitely...
Is Meteor Shower a manga? Okay, so those I'm fine with.
Yeah, but I think it's just like, you know, it's kind of like when you're talking about adaptations of anime or manga, it's just, you know, it depends on the quality of the original work. I don't think that just because it's an adaptation is going to be bad, because there's tons of pretty good ones out there. Like,
okay, fine. This is not one of them.
Yeah. It started with a kiss. Did I mention that one? It started with a kiss is definitely, yeah.
See, that's kind of cute. Like, but this is just ridiculous. You need to like at least watch it. I couldn't get through like the first episode. I was just like, why are you in this? You are a somewhat good known actor now. You don't need to be in this, like, at all.
Interesting.
And then, okay, so my thing also with this is I hate overly dubbed dramas. Like when it's like very obvious that it's dubbed, like the sound and the actions and the mouth and the actors don't make sense together. This was one of them. This was one of them.
I feel like aren't web series, like, aren't they usually not dubbed?
But this one is.
Because they're usually more low budget, right? So that's surprising.
But I like not dubbing. It's more realistic and it's more like to the actual actor. Like they're able to show more of themselves in it.
Yeah.
But dubbing just makes it so fake.
Yeah.
And like, again, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very sad for him. Like, he does not need this. Like, what are they paying him to be in this? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, like, some web series that are, like, low budget are still, like, really good. Like, I remember...
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I've seen some good web series. This is just, like, again, not one of them.
Yeah, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but, like, there was one that I watched called, like, The Ferryman or something. It was about this guy who could see dead people. Have you ever seen that one? It's pretty good. I think there's supposed to be a second season, but I heard it's really scary, so I don't know.
What's it called in Chinese?
I don't remember. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it's this really long title. It's like the Ferryman something of Spirits.
It's scary?
It's, some of the episodes are creepier than others. But I mean, I don't like scary things, and I thought it was acceptable. But then, I don't know, because I haven't seen the second season. There might even be a third season by this point, but I haven't seen them.
That reminds me of 无心法师. Have you seen that one? It's also a web series, but it's like it's about supernaturals, like dead people, spirits, and spirit hunters. And he's an immortal, but he's good. Like his blood can kill spirits, like evil spirits.
Oh.
It's not scary, but it's pretty interesting. And it's actually pretty well made for like a web series.
I wonder if we're actually talking about the same web series, and I
don't think so. Because that long name I don't think that 无心法师 had that long of a name.
Well, it's just the English name, because I can't remember the Chinese names of things unless they're really easy to remember. But you said
it was something long.
No, the English name is something really long.
No. I don't think 无心法师 can be translated into anything long.
It was like fairy, because it was like, the fairy between the spirit world and the human world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I know.
And also on the topic of 偶像剧, I remember how I told you I was trying to get into My Mr. Mermaid.
Oh, God.
So I started watching like the beginning, and then I already gave up because I was like, well, because the girl's really cute, and I was like, this looks like a cute like feel-good drama. But then I was like, I just feel kind of ancient when I watch like student dramas.
I think we're too old for 偶像剧 right now.
I'm fine with like 偶像剧 that like I think where the characters are older, but it's like they're like college students or whatever. And I'm like, because I feel like there's not a big difference between college stories and high school stories. Like they all just seem like the setting is they're just very young. And it's just hard. And the boys aren't cute enough. If the main character was cuter, then I would be on that train.
I don't know. It's just the acting and like the editing and the making of those things make me cringe now. Like it's not like when they keep doing 壁咚.
Oh, I hate 壁咚.
Yeah. When they keep doing that and keep zooming into each other's eyes and keep like making lovey-dovey things. Like, oh my God. Stop.
I mean, 壁咚 are like, actually, if something like that happened to you in real life, it's semi-violent, you know? Like, honestly, realistically, like, it's like, it's a marker of a, physical violence. Or like...
Assault, you mean? Assault?
Potential, right? Because if you're like, especially if they're not your boyfriend, it's just this random dude on the street.
That's the thing. It has to be like someone you either really like romantically or is your boyfriend. If it's someone random and they did that to you, it's like just punch them in the balls.
No, but it's like even if it's someone you're into, like imagine this guy, right? Like if you just had this big ass guy shove you up against the wall, that's not romantic, that's terrifying. In real life, that's terrifying. And it's also potentially an indicator of future like, domestic violence. Honestly, it is. And like romanticizing that kind of behavior is not good.
Well, obviously we don't have that 少女心.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that was my bit about Zhang Ruoyun. Congrats.
Yay.
Going into 快乐大本营, they have like 4 episodes of this whole prolonged 20th anniversary thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we touched already upon that first one where it was Chen Weiting, Huang Zitao, and Zhao Li, right? So then the second episode is with it was TF Boys.
No, second episode was Zhu Zixiao and
I'm just kidding.
Wei Daxun. Was it Wei Daxun?
Yeah.
And who else?
Bao Bei'er. Sun Jian在 Han Gen. Yeah, them. So it's like they're old, the people that have basically been on that show for the most amount of times, which isn't, I don't think that's really, really true, because I feel like there's a lot more that have been like longer, right?
There have been. There
has to be.
Yeah, there definitely have been. Like, for example, Yang Di.
Well, recently, yes, that's very true.
But if you're just counting the number of times they've appeared, I'm pretty sure Yang Di would beat a lot of them. Like Shen Tong.
Some of them. There's like 2 people who've been there like, 4 times? And like there's like a dozen people that have been there 4 times.
Sun Jian is always on there, though. He's like their Beitai.
He was always on there. Yeah. And Wei Daxun didn't make an impression on you?
I'm actually trying to remember what he does in that episode, so I think it's safe to say sad. Not really. No. I mean, I think I don't think I've changed my opinion about him not being humble enough anymore.
Aww.
Did he make an impression on you?
I mean, not really, but you know, I still kind of, not that I vouch for him, but I still stick to my comment about him kind of just embracing the fact that he's a big-headed jerk now. But yeah. And then Zhu Zixiao, right? He was like MIA for the longest time.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him because I hadn't seen him in such a long time. And then I was like, why am I surprised to see him? He used to be on variety shows all the time. And then I was like, have I seen him recently? And then I was like, no. And then he was saying that he like recently produced his own drama or something, right? Like he's a producer instead.
Yeah.
So I wonder if I don't know what he's been up to, but I guess he maybe has moved to more behind the scenes work, or he's getting bigger roles, because like I remember he was kind of he's not like a really top actor.
Like when they first started out, Liu Xun, Huayuan were like those 4 people, he was the least famous out of all of them, and he kind of had to, I feel like he was kind of pushed into the role of being like a semi-comedian and going into these variety shows and kind of like 搞笑, like that 搞笑的成员. He kind of pushed into that role because the other 3 were like a lot more famous and a lot more handsome, and you know,
he's pretty handsome now at least.
Yeah, but compared to your Wei Chen,
I think honestly, if you're just talking about like looks, Zhu Zixiao is probably more like the model handsome. But Wei Chen,
I don't think so.
I love Wei Chen. I love him so much.
Okay, well, anyways, just by that, like we already know he's not the top priority.
I mean, then, as we've established, no one was gonna beat Wei Chen except Xiao Wu, maybe. Yeah.
On a good day, on a good hair day. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's really interesting. He kind of went MIA for like a really long time, and then comes back as this like super serious guy. Like he like completely different. I mean, I kind of want to know now what kind of made him change, you know?
But this goes back to what we've been talking about, how like people's personality on a variety show is not necessarily their personality in real life. Because I think maybe
true, but like you can't really fake it that much. Like even if it's, you think about like, yeah, you can, it could be different, but how much of that, you know?
But maybe it's like, maybe he's like out of practice. Kind of like how I have a social voice and a social face or whatever.
No, but like he decided not to go on variety shows. Not that he didn't have a chance. Like he decided to stop showing up.
I thought it was because he got to the point where he didn't need to go on variety shows anymore.
No, because, well, I mean, look at Sun Jian. Does he have a need? He has no dramas out. He's just on there. Yang Di as well.
No. I think that's the thing. Like, even if you don't have dramas, if you're in a place where you want to get exposure, right? Like, that's, people go on variety shows to get exposure. That's why you don't see, like, Fan Bingbing on, like, variety shows all the time, because she doesn't super need exposure. But I think with, like, a rookie actor...
Yeah, so why does he not want exposure? He decided not to have it.
Yeah, that's why I assumed that he had gotten to a point where he was famous enough, or maybe he's like doing enough as a producer.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Maybe he moved into producing. I don't know.
Yeah, but even with that, it's like you could be on the shows to promote what you're producing.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like that name has basically been out of the face of the earth. It's not like even if you were a star producer, you would still go on variety shows to be like, okay, hey, I'm promoting the show because I produced it.
This is true.
Like directors too, right? Like with Suyopong and everyone who's directed but not actually in the movie, he comes to promote it because he directed it. Yeah. So like even if you're behind the scenes, you're still somewhat of a famous person. You would still want to be promoted and exposed, and I feel like he just kind of chose not to and like stop completely, and then go behind the scenes, which makes sense. But like he just doesn't want to go variety shows anymore. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just thinking, well, what happened?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, he probably got to a point where something in his
like some kind of event triggered his emotions. I
don't know.
But okay.
Yeah, the last time I saw him was in that a drama Demon Girl, which I actually didn't end up watching. Yeah. It was maybe like
that sounds like a cringy anime thing.
I don't know, because I think I watched the trailer. I didn't actually watch the drama. I watched the trailer because I was like, I don't understand what this drama is about. And then I watched the trailer and I still didn't understand what the drama was about. But I can't commit to dramas like past 5 episodes, I feel like. So I very rarely try. Wow. Yeah, I used to watch dramas a lot, but then now I don't know. I feel like you really have to hook me in, and most of the time after the 5th episode, it's just not as good.
That's true.
Yeah. But speaking of Happy Camp, I thought it was really sad that Nana was not there because she like sprained her leg.
I know, she would have been so much fun. I mean, this was the 20th anniversary and she had to miss it.
Yeah, so sad. But I also feel like probably her injury is a lot more serious than they were all like making it out to be, because she seems like the kind of person that would just come regardless.
Yeah, I mean, just sit in a wheelchair, nobody cares, right?
Yeah, but I think the thing is, it was probably serious enough that she couldn't just sit in a wheelchair the whole time.
Right, I know.
Right, because then otherwise I think she would have done it.
Yeah, no, she would have.
Yeah. So I hope she's okay.
Yeah, same.
I thought it was really cute when they were showing like fans of Happy Camp, and like they were like, oh, this one fan has a collection of all the episodes that we have ever recorded, and it turned out that it was Helaosh's dad.
I know. So sweet. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, like what a loving dad, like what a loving family, because Helaoshi what is he, like a doctorate in Arabic language or something? Is he a doctor, or does he just have like a master's or bachelor's?
I don't know. I know he used to teach, but I don't know what the qualifications for that are. But
even so, he spent his whole life like studying Arabic.
Yeah, Arabic.
And then he all of a sudden became a host of like a comedy show. Like can you imagine like if your family basically put you on this path to succeed in like this 很 like 文明很文青的路线, and then all of a sudden you're becoming like a superstar. It's kind of a weird turn.
I wonder how that happened, because I think like I remember him talking about it on Tian Tian Shang Shang when he was there to promote his movie, and he was saying like he actually was teaching like when he first started hosting, he was still teaching on the side. So I kind of wonder like where did he get on that path, and how?
He kind of, I mean, I don't really want to, because he did say a lot of these things. I just have to like recap on it, but it's definitely like a series of events where he was really lucky. He got introduced by like, he basically knew the right people who took him to the right places, and they really liked him. So then it kind of just sparked from there, and he did a really good job. So, I mean, I don't know exactly who or what show kind of brought him, but I think it was just like a really lucky turn of events. Which is cool, because it's also a lucky turn of events for everybody else, because we love him now.
It's true. You know? Even when they were doing the 吐槽 segment, no one had anything to 吐槽 about him.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so also the funny thing from that segment is Wu Xing. Like, they're like, we can't give her any like performance and songs anymore after Ichi Yao Bai, because it's like everything just turns out to be funny. Always Wu Xing style. And like she can't wave. The fact that she can't wave, they're like, you just look like a stiff board.
But I liked how afterwards Haitao and Weijia both did it and they did it better than she did.
Exactly. It's like, she's so funny. She's like an awkward like child, but
yeah. I was watching this appearance she did on, I think it was called 真心距离 or something, or no, I don't know, some talk show, and then she was talking about how hard it was for her because for the first like 5 years that she was on 快乐大本营, people thought she was like useless and stupid and stuff, and so she felt really awful, and she always had to pretend to be cutesy, and then it made her feel really uncomfortable. But I feel like after all of this, like all of Wuxin's solo activities, I have a lot more appreciation for Wuxin as a person, even though like she's never been like a standout host. Yeah. I mean, like, 快乐大本营 is basically her life. Yeah.
Right? Like, without that, I mean, not to say, like, what else would she do, but I can't really imagine her, you know, like, hosting really, like, a show of her own or working with other people.
Oh, no, you know what, though? She said if she hadn't signed the contract for 快乐大本营, she would have gone on to get a PhD and taught at a university.
What?
And she majored in like French or something.
What?
Yeah.
I've never heard her speak French.
I haven't either, but I think I remember like she like majored in French. So she's actually like, she said she used to be really, really good at school.
Wow.
So she might have ended up just being like a really pretty professor. Yeah.
Wow, right? I cannot never get that image. I can never get the image of her like teaching a class. It's weird.
Well, I mean, I think it's, you know, situational, and the person you become depends on like your experiences, right? So I don't think that I think she would maybe like her personality wouldn't be the same if she hadn't been on 快乐大本营 and if she had gone into like academia, right? So yeah, true. Okay, but also about Wuxing, they made a comment of like when she was on that segment with Zhou Dongyu and Ma Sichun, and that other Luren who I did not know was Wang Fei's daughter, but apparently it is. It's Wang Fei's daughter.
Yeah, but on that segment in the beginning, they made a comment about her being in Midnight Diner and that everybody was like dissing her for her acting skills and like the whole eating ramen thing, and they're like, wow, you're so exaggerated, and then like they were like, oh, somebody came to her at the airport because she was eating ramen noodles, and somebody came up to her and said, you still have the guts to eat ramen noodles right now?
Oh my god,
it's so sad.
It is.
But then
really
again, I feel
sad.
like it's kind of cool that they're bringing it up in the show, and like Halasu can kind of make it more like a lighthearted thing.
Yeah,
you know. But I mean, I just think it's funny because she gets 吐槽 for like everything that she does.
It's like 前锋 on 天天上上. Yeah, I always feel bad for him. Well, honestly, I always feel bad for him, and I feel bad for Haitao because they're always the butt of the joke. And I think Wuxin is like, you know, is also pretty often the butt of the joke. I think she's just, I guess it's just not as severe, but it's still like you feel bad for them because that really is their role in the show, for people to kind of make fun of them. Yeah,
I mean, you kind of just have to have a really thick skin and like to know that it shouldn't affect you, but like how can it not, you know? At some point it will affect you.
Yeah, I would never be able to do that. I would just be emo and sensitive and be like, you know that Tumblr quote where it's like, if you ever feel like you're overreacting or being too sensitive, remember that Hans Christian Andersen once had someone give him like a little bit of like harsh feedback, and then someone found him crying face down in a puddle of dirt.
What?
Yeah. I think that's hilarious. That's me. I'd be like face down crying in a puddle of mud.
I'll be face down crying in a bowl of noodles.
Oh my god, that's even better. That's better. It's a better way to live your life.
That's what 吃货 do. Okay, well, anything else on 快乐大本营?
I want to talk about Zhao Youting's segment. Because okay, after you recommended Mark's Diner, Midnight Diner, I ended up watching Mark's Daughter because I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's time to like ready my emotions. I watched it in like the middle of the night, and I was just like crying in the middle of the night in like semi-darkness, you know. And so I mean, it was good, I guess, like in terms of like pulling at heartstrings. It wasn't necessarily like great in terms of like framing and plot or whatever, but I think one thing that I did get out of that is that Zhao Youting is really endearing. And so when I saw him on 快乐大本营, I was like, oh yeah, he's also a huge dork.
Yeah. He's kind of an awkward dork.
Yeah, and his Chinese is really good for someone who's like, you know, an ABC or whatever.
Supposedly lived overseas. Yeah. A lot better than
most
ours.
Most. Yeah,
most.
But yeah, and so then I was like, oh, this is cool. I like, it's good, it's cool that he's a guest here. But then the segment was like 100 random people come to challenge Mark Chow, and I was like, what, where did this come from? It like doesn't fit in with any of the rest of the episode. And the guys, like the people participating, like barely get any participation time. Like they don't really have any screen time. And so I thought it was weird.
No, they just stood there.
Yeah, I thought it was weird. I wonder why they did that.
I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah.
And I mean, the segments didn't really even make that much sense, and it wasn't really that interesting. Like none of it was really that interesting. And the whole like rapping freestyle sequence, apparently freestyling is like a really popular skill to have now, so everybody needs to learn it.
I think it's mostly just that meme. It's that meme of Chris Wu asking me, "Oh, freestyle, ma."
Yeah. And then, oh my god, and they were just basically reading off a script. But with freestyling, you guys should watch Dunlun and Wang Dalu freestyling. That is funny.
I think I ended up like skipping past it because I started cringing so hard. Like
right?
I was like watching it, and then I was like, oh, I can't do that.
It was so dumb, and then like literally they were staring like on top of the screen. Like, you know how when you know somebody's looking at something, they're like staring above the audience because there's like monitors showing them the words, and I'm just like, oh my god. But
even with the monitors, they were still so bad. Like
they were very, very bad.
Like, if you have monitors telling you how to rap or whatever, you'd expect that they would have done a little bit better. It's like the one segment in which Du Haitao actually shines.
True. For some reason, he's I don't even know what to say about him. He's funny, but then he knows how to rap, but then he looks like that, so then you really can't put two and two together.
I think it's just, again, the role that he's thrust in. Because if he did try to be underground and he didn't have this, like, reputation of being kind of, like, jokery, like, he could, you know, be, like, one of those contestants on 中国有戏啊.
Maybe. Because I can't see it now. Like, now I just want to laugh.
I don't know that he would be good, right? But then he could, like, you would take him seriously if he was just a random person off the street and he did something like that.
Maybe. That's true. That if he wasn't Haitao.
Yeah, if you didn't know who he was. Speaking of Wuxin, have you caught up on 我们相爱吧?
I have. Yes.
Do you have thoughts you'd like to share?
So I did watch the one where she visited him at 中国有戏号, right?
Yes!
Oh my god, she's so cute.
She is so cute.
She's like all in a hoodie and like trying to be all hardcore.
Yeah.
It was so awkward. And like, again, like, we all knew that if she opened her mouth that he'd already know it was her.
Mm-hmm.
She was like sitting there and like he was like trying to act cool with his shades on and everything, and he's like, what is going on? And then she turns around and he's like, oh my god. And then he made that comment to the producers that she was his 内人. Do you know what that means?
No, well, I mean, I assumed, right? Because then afterwards she was like, why does he always, like, sometimes every once in a while he'll just use like ancient terms.
Yeah, for an ABC as well, his Chinese vocabulary is very, very adept. But yeah, 内人, meaning like your inside person,
mm-hmm.
like inside household person,
mm-hmm.
your wife, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That was cute.
I think that they're cute still. I mean, I don't know how much I believe that they're romantically into each other, but I just think that they're cute, you know? Like, their relationship is cute. Their interactions are cute.
Yeah. I mean, and he's very flirtatious with her.
And at the end of that episode, he like asks her if they can date for real or whatever, and I was like, okay.
Yikes. Yeah. We'll see about that.
And no, it has to be part of the show because it's like, you know,
it's
like
scripted. It's
definitely scripted. If you were to ask a question like that for realsies, you would ask it off camera.
Yeah, well, also because, okay, so I also read the comments and like the there was like 讨论 about the whole show and everything.
Mm-hmm.
they were saying how like she already knew that this was gonna happen. So then when they were like massaging or whatever, and then he like suddenly grabs her hand, and then she said, "Oh my God, are you gonna propose to me now?"
Oh, really?
So thinking that she already knew that, like, kind of foreshadowing that there was going to be a proposal.
I don't remember that part, but yeah. I mean, she has to know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Wang Yu are basically saying, and I'm just like, I don't really analyze that in depth. I'm just watching a show about them somewhat dating. Like, I'm not gonna analyze every single move, but I mean, I guess it is true that this has to be scripted. There's no way, like, I mean, if you think about it, once they cut, they don't see each other for weeks.
Yeah.
And then they come back and then film this lovey-dovey thing. There's, like, no way you can have that kind of, like, chemistry or, like for each other, you know? That's especially apparent with Wang O and Ning Dao.
Like, it's apparent that they, like, barely know each other?
It's apparent that it's very scripted.
Oh. I mean, these shows always have to be. You know, like, you watch it and you have to have a willing suspension of disbelief in order to enjoy it. But at the end of the day, it's scripted. And, like, it's especially obvious for Wuxin and Pan Weibo because then he didn't even have her Weixin. Like, they weren't even friends on Weixin.
Yeah. Like, they don't even talk. So that means that when they cut, they don't talk.
Yeah.
But, like, with the commentary with Wang Mingdao and Wang O is that they sound like a really romantic 偶像剧.
Yeah.
Like, it's too smooth, or that it's too, like, there's too much heartfelt, like, dialogue where that's not something that when two people who just meet each other have that kind of conversations.
Yeah.
You know, it's, like, too well written and too well scripted for that to happen, unless they truly, truly, truly love each other. But I mean, I doubt that. Because there's no actual case of anybody being on these shows actually becoming a couple, right? Like, none.
Not to my knowledge.
None,
It'd be cute if it did happen, but...
I mean, I would want it to happen. Like, I think that's every viewer's, like, ultimate dream, is that one of these couples would be together. But then it never happens, so then that's how you know that it's scripted or that it's fake. But it's sad that it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it works the best when you have, like, either two people who are very seasoned in variety or, like, good actors, right? Because then they can really sell it.
That's why it just becomes like a drama. You know, then it's not a reality show anymore.
But it's a drama that pretends to be a reality show. Well, because it's not, like, all script. Like, it's not completely scripted, right? Like, Wuxin can still say, like, funny things. Like, they can still say funny things and, like, things like that. But I think, like, you know, the activities and stuff, like, the big stuff is definitely planned ahead of time. I mean, in real life, though, like, it's not, you wouldn't want, or I mean, I don't know, you might want these things to happen, but it's not as realistic to have giant events for this person you're dating. Like, that doesn't happen.
Like, every day.
Yeah, it's not like,
but technically it's not every day.
Take you to Thailand for no reason.
Right, and I'm gonna book this entire restaurant for no reason.
Hire a band, sing you a song.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine that happening in real life? Wouldn't you feel kind of overwhelmed and kind of confused?
I'd be like, hey, let's get married right away so I can be a trophy wife. Because, I mean, can you imagine if something like that happens every single day, you better be rich.
Yeah. Or they're not, and then you're just digging yourself into a financial hole.
In debt.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, that's TV for you.
Indeed.
Speaking of TV, though, Will Pan is getting a lot of screen time these days.
In China?
Have you noticed? Yeah. I mean, his new album is out. He has, like, 2 shows.
No, he's on, like, 3 shows. More than 3 shows, maybe. He's on...
Or something.
Well, because he's on, 我们相爱吧, and then he's on 中国有嘻哈. Is he on any other shows?
He's on, well, I mean, I don't know if you know, but the new show that I saw him on was called 来吧兄弟.
That sounds vaguely familiar. Is that like Running Man?
Well, yeah.
Go Fighting? Is it Go Fighting?
No, because Go Fighting is another show.
What's the name of that one?
Okay, let me list this for you.
Okay.
So the show that he's on is 来吧兄弟, and I think it just aired. I think there's like maybe 2 episodes out. And then that show has 陈晓东, Pan or him, 包贝尔, And then some other xiaoxinros that I don't know of. Sun Jian is in it too.
I like Sun Jian.
Yeah. So the idea is it's like a band of guys who are 兄弟 and they do all these activities, right?
Are they actually friends though? Before we get
of course not. Of course not.
Because like 兄弟 is supposed to be like, you know, your like BFFs.
Well, no, I mean they'll probably become friends after the show, but they probably never knew each other before the show. 宝贝尔 and 陈小春, you think they know each other?
They could.
On what level?
They could. Why not?
Yeah, so the funny thing about it is that I clicked into it, it's the first episode, and like the very beginning is like the PD, the producer or director introduction about how the show is so different that it's never been done before, that it's gonna be like this revolution in Chinese TV. No. I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, are you baffling? Like, just by the name itself, I can think about 10 other shows with the same exact name or like similar names, you know?
Yeah, I don't even know the setup, but obviously I already thought about like 3 different shows or 2.
Exactly, it's it's 奔跑吧兄弟, right? 奔跑吧 concept, and it's there's like what 极限挑战24小时什么 like what else?
Oh, there's that one
挑战者联盟高能少年团. Oh my god, there's so many.
That one where you like there's like the people in like the security outfits that chase you. Something
yeah.
Whatever, 快速速度 or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's
something like that. But there's so many of those shows.
Yeah.
And like they're all the same.
Is it the same setup? Like, is it the same premise? Like they're playing some sort of a game?
Yeah.
Race against time?
Yeah. I mean, even if it wasn't the same setup, it's the same concept. It's like you have a band of people who are supposed to come together and like teamwork and play all these games, and like, you know, there's probably going to be backstabbing involved and like guests coming on. It's going to be the same thing. It's just different people, right?
Great.
Like different band of brothers, and each show has their group name, like Tuanmin, right? It's the same thing. And the audacity for them to say that it's different and new is just like, it blows my mind.
Different, new, exciting, amazing.
The only thing different about it is the different people in it, but like, it's like there's so many out there. It's not new anymore. It was new when they copied Running Man, and now it's not new anymore.
Yeah, you know? I don't know.
Speaking of which, you know how I told you about 中餐厅, that Chinese restaurant show? It's also a knockoff of a Korean show.
Oh no! Was it also in Thailand?
Oh, I didn't watch it, but I saw a thing on Weibo where they were like, I thought we were banned in Korea, and then they showed like all these pictures of all these shows that were supposedly from Korea, like Show Me the Money and Chinese Got Hip Hop and like this show. And I saw this show and I was like, oh my god,
disappointing.
Why did that not surprise me?
Oh, China, you need to learn to be more confident in your own abilities.
I know, it's like you guys have, China is probably like one of the biggest countries with the most amount of people, yet no creativity.
I don't think there's no creativity, but maybe it's like the fact that they want to bank on something that they know has had success in the past.
I see.
I mean, I feel like that's what
true.
it is, because like with that many people, like there have to be creative people there, right? It's just that maybe those people are not really getting a chance.
Maybe I think you're right. Maybe they're just sticking with what they think works already and not giving. But then again, how many real ideas have they had that were, I mean, except for 快乐大本营. The fact that show made 20 years is something totally entirely different. But like, you know, what other original idea have they had that worked out?
I don't know. Well, because I'm thinking about, I think I was at like some sort of a seminar or panel or something a few years ago where someone was saying in Hollywood, actually, it's really hard to get anything original made, like movies. They always just want remakes, because they know it's going to make money, and it's going to draw in a specific, like, you know, at least a like minimum number of views.
Right.
Or like, you know, so that's why there's like all these superhero movies, because, you know, it's like a remake or an adaptation or whatever. So it's really hard to make original content in Hollywood. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if something similar is happening in China.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe we should brainstorm some sort of a variety show idea, and then we can, you know, sell it to China.
Well, chances are they might just steal it.
That's true.
I mean, given their track record.
This is true. I don't understand. Are they buying the copyright to these shows?
I don't know. I mean, how do you buy a copyright of a country you banned?
Are they still banned though? Because from what I understand, after the impeachment of the previous South Korean president, like, isn't the new president like chill with China now? At least sort of.
I have no idea.
At least on the subject of the missile system or whatever, not whatever it's called.
I don't do politics.
I don't either, which is why I don't even know what the name of the missile thing is. Some sort of tracking missile something testing.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll look it up. Someone else can tell us. Please tell us.
Please do. Please help us become more educated or whatever. Do you want to go into our Rex and Rex for this week?
Yes. Do you want to go first or do you want to go first?
Let me go first because I'm going to be like kind of serious and maybe like a little bit of a downer. So this week,
okay.
Yeah, this week I have a W rec, and I think I'll preface this by saying that in general, I feel like when watching entertainment from a different country, you kind of have to, I guess some things you kind of have to let slide, like microaggressions and things like that, because, or at least I usually have to let it slide in order to be able to enjoy things. So I mean, when we talk a lot about 中国有嘻哈 and like things like that, and I think that show in particular is very problematic for the way that it handles appropriation of Black culture and hip hop culture, which is, you know, primarily a part of Black culture. And you know, those are all kind of microaggression-y things. But I think this week I ran upon a macroaggression, like a pretty large aggression. I was watching Superboy, and Yang Ji, we know from all the times I've mentioned him on this show that he has consistently underwhelmed me, and that I don't find him particularly talented. But I've never really been like upset by him. But this week, or this past week, he did a cover of 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars, and in the rap section, which I do not think was from the original song, I'm pretty sure that he wrote that rap, or someone on his team or whatever wrote it, he uses the N-word, and I just thought that it was really disappointing, really upsetting, and it, you know, like the fact that he used it, the fact that it was subtitled, and the fact that it wasn't censored at all, because it is a very offensive word. And you know, I think that it's very easy to make excuses for Chinese entertainment to be like, well, they're in a different social context, maybe they don't know as much about English language or about where these words come from. But overall, I feel like when you are a big media company and you obviously have the resources to do research into other things that you might not know about, and just in general, like a word that offensive shouldn't have been allowed to air. It shouldn't have been. And I mean, honestly, Yang Ji should have known better, because it's not a word that you use to be cool, right? Like, these are words that were used to literally enslave people, degrade people, humiliate people, and that are still being used today. And you know, racism against Black people, anti-Blackness, is still a huge problem, not just in the United States, but even if you're talking about China. Like, there's a lot of African immigrants in China, actually, particularly in the Guangdong area, and they face a lot of racism. And so, I don't know. I think overall, I don't want to get too into it because I know that it's like a pretty broad topic and a pretty serious one for a podcast about entertainment, right? But I was just really upset by that, and I don't know. I don't really know what to do with my feelings on that, except to kind of say I don't think that was appropriate, and I hope that both the television station and Yang Ji somehow have someone tell them that was wrong. So yeah, I don't know. That's me.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all have the same ideas on that. I just feel like on the topic of people not telling them whether or not it's wrong, I don't think a lot of people do know that it's wrong. If you even look at the comments of the videos that they're putting out, nobody has mentioned that whatsoever. Yeah. So it's really not just a problem of him or but it's like a general public thing in China, like they don't understand it, they don't know the history, and they don't get it. They just think that it's cool and they want to follow it, and it's, what young people like these days. But do they understand the culture? Do they understand the background? No. And is it necessarily their fault? I just feel like maybe this is just an ignorance thing. Obviously, I feel like if to say they do know, and if they found out, would they stop? That's a whole other question. But at this point, I just feel like it's really more of an ignorance thing. And yes, we should voice it out, and people should find out and do more research if you're gonna, be this big of a show. And, but it's kind of an iffy topic. Of course, it needs to be said. Yeah. But
I mean, because arguably, you can apply that ignorance argument to most racism in the United States too, right? But it's like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I don't really want to like spend too much time on this because it's a big problem, and it's a problem that requires a lot of really careful thought. And so, yeah.
I think we should email Hunan Weisi.
Their Gmail address. I emailed them like a long time ago. They took like half a year to respond to my email. By that time, I had already forgotten that I had emailed them.
We should leave a rude comment. We should get their attention. Go to their Weibo account. Leave them 私信.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, keep a lookout for it. If you see anything else that's, irritating about that show, we should make it a point to let a lot more people to say something about it. Because apparently no one in the comments. I mean, of course, YouTube is for America too. So I'm sure a lot of Asian Americans are watching this show through YouTube. But yet I still have not seen any comments about it.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could be the first, but that should be something that everybody should be looking out for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my rec and rex is a little bit more lighthearted, I'm hoping. This is kind of like a R rec and a W rec at the same time, but it's the same thing. It's a drama. Yeah, it's a drama called 我的前半生, the first half of my life. Right? So I'm a drama watcher where I can get one drama down to 3 days just because I'll probably just sit there. I can sit there and just stream it, or just skip through half of it because none of the it's nonsense I really don't care for. I just go to the main parts. But this drama, I mean, okay, so it's featuring Jing Dong and
the one who you didn't know when I said his name last time.
Yes, again, I did not know that you knew him. But him and Ma Yili. So this is like a 都市职场爱情故事. So it's kind of career related or working class related. I mean, it's kind of cool because it's really relatable, and it's real because it's about a housewife who has a good husband that has a good paying job, but then he cheats on her at the workplace with one of his underlings or whatever.
That's sad.
And then she goes through divorce and goes through the whole okay, I was a housewife, I did not do anything, now I'm gonna get divorced, now I don't have money and I don't have a house and I don't have a job, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
So that it's kind of her life struggles, becoming more of an empowered woman and becoming more back into the working class and back into being self-reliant and doesn't have to depend on a man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I felt like that aspect of it was kind of cool because you kind of see more of empowerment and more especially in China with all the women who just really want to marry a rich guy and get over it with, not really care, or those people who are stuck in marriages that are unhappy because their husband is cheating but they can't leave because what's going to happen with my life.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big issue, I feel like, but they're kind of taking it on. But the ending is what makes it a W rec because it doesn't tie any loose ends together. It doesn't finalize anything. It doesn't okay, so the male lead, there's 3 people in this drama, right? You have the wife that got divorced. You have her best friend who is this super super successful career woman who sacrificed her entire life to be this person, because if you're a woman you have to work twice as hard as a man to get to the point of where he is, right? That's who she is. That's her best friend. And then the guy who is also like the most successful person in his career, on par with, you know, her best friend. They're together, right? But throughout the drama, he falls in love with her, the divorcee, and then the best friend is left all alone again.
Oh, no.
So her whole story is that I've worked my entire life to get to this point in my life, and I finally want to settle down, but I can't anymore because the person that I loved for 10 years of my life decided to fall in love with my best friend, the divorcee.
Oh no, that sounds real messy.
Yeah, so the ending is all three of them are alone.
Oh.
Yeah, like that makes no sense to me. So she's alone because all she has is her career. The divorcee is alone because now she's going to spend most of her life fighting for her career because she didn't for the first half of her life, right? And then the guy loses his job for some reason and is now like on a boat.
No, you know what I think this is? This is one of those dramas that are supposed to give you meanings about life. I think that's what it, because you know how like there's all those like youth dramas where in the end they don't end up together and it's some lesson about like letting go of your first love or whatever.
But then this lesson is telling me that nobody has a happy ending.
Depends on your definition of a happy ending. Maybe you have a happy ending if you're on a boat. You're like, I was real successful, I made a lot of money, now it's time to reflect on my life in the middle of an ocean or a river.
This is not what I wanted. I just want a happy, fluffy ending, okay? It's all, like, I got my life lessons throughout the drama. I don't need it at the ending.
That's why you need to watch 偶像剧, okay? That's why you watch things like that. Because they're just fluffy and mindless and make you feel happy inside.
But I'm not even asking for, like a super happy ending. I just want to know whether or not they got together. But I just feel bad also for the best friend because like she got nothing at the end of it. She got nothing. She got all she got was her career. But it's like nobody ever wants just her career because technically she lost her lover and her best friend.
Oh, they're not best friends anymore?
No.
Oh, that's really sad. That is really sad.
Exactly. So, you know, nobody got nothing. Everybody got nothing. Yeah. Except for the divorcee, because now she has apparently a somewhat fulfilled life.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean,
I don't know if this has been a trend in the dramas that you've seen recently, but I feel like it's a trend in the dramas and the movies that I've seen recently. Like, you know, You Are the Apple of My Eye was like that. What is it? Those 15 Years We Waited for Migratory Birds was like that. What is the name of that one that I was... Rush to the Dead Summer is sort of like that. Like all of these ones where it's like they fall in love and then something happens and then they separate and at the end they don't get back together, or or one of them is getting married or whatever, and then they just realize that, oh, you know, we're happier, like, you know, I wish you the best of luck as you live the rest of your life without me. I feel like that's a trend.
I hate that trend. I mean, like I said, the first half, like synonymous with this drama, the first half of it was fine. The second half of it was sucky.
I'm telling you, there are very few dramas where the first, like where the end, like the last however many episodes is as good as the first 5 episodes. The first 5 episodes are where they try to like hook you in so you keep watching it, and so then they have to be extra good.
And then they get lazy and don't know what to do and just end it at like a sour note.
Volleyball Lover. I watched that whole drama back when I watched dramas.
I'm not gonna watch it.
You want to watch it or you don't want to watch it?
I do not. That sounds like a waste of my time.
The first 5 episodes were pretty good. I'm just saying. First 5 episodes. It's always the first 5 episodes. Okay. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our podcast this week. As always, thank you for listening. You may have noticed that we've moved from SoundCloud over to YouTube. So feel free to visit us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Otherwise, you can always visit us on our website at thelalashow.tumblr.com and follow us on Weibo at a link that is provided in our Tumblr because, you know, it's a string of numbers and letters that I don't remember. But otherwise, please stay tuned next Saturday for a new episode of the podcast.